podcast. I'm Rachel. I am one of said hypnotherapists, and I'm joined here by Sarah, who is one of my peers. We actually met training. So, Sarah, we were going to introduce ourselves, but I've just introduced you.
Thank you. No, that was a lovely introduction.
Sorry.
We'll get better at this, won't we?
Yeah, we hope. So today we're going to talk about anxiety. So that feels like a great sort of early podcast topic for us, because so many other things that present in our sessions from clients are kind of a side effect of anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about that kind of negatively forecasting the future, isn't it? And that's what it is that causes anxiety. It's, it's living in the future, thinking about all the potential things that could go wrong that make us feel really anxious. And that can lead on to, let's say, phobias, different kind of health anxiety, specific anxieties. I think it's a really good topic to start with.
Yeah. I'm not frozen. Sorry.
I thought you froze.
My brain went blank, and then I was like, I'm going to pretend to be frozen. So you think it's the computer? That's not me.
I genuinely believe that as well.
I know.
I literally got my mouth and I was like, is it me that's frozen? Oh, Rachel,
I
that
should
was
be on
hilarious.
stage, shouldn't I?
You should be.
Oh, crying.
What are you wasting your time on hypnotherapy with?
I don't think, well, one thing is, clearly it's good for my soul and I love helping people, but I also don't think my memory would be up to being an actress. You've got to remember lines, haven't you?
Yeah, you do.
Would not be my forte.
No, it's quite an important part of the role, unfortunately.
Remembering stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get back to anxiety.
Anxiety, yep.
Anxiety.
I know, I really started to stop myself bursting into song then.
Don't stop yourself if it brings you joy.
Yeah, but it wouldn't bring anybody else joy. And we would lose a lot of followers before we've even got them. Oh, trust me. Trust me.
So, supporting people with anxiety, I reckon that a lot of people underestimate how anxious they are. I think as a culture, we only see and notice our poor mental health when it's at breaking point, but it's actually gradually building long before that, isn't it? So
absolutely. And I think there's a difference between feeling really nervous about something and feeling really anxious about it. And I think this is the thing I've often talked to my clients about, is actually we don't want to get rid of the nerves, because nerves are good. Nerves, they keep us safe. Can you imagine what we would get up to if we had no nerves at all and we just felt like we could do anything? And they also, nerves help us to focus. When we're in an exam situation, actually being a little bit nervous can just help us to focus the brain. But when those nerves take over and they just turn into real fear and they stop you from doing things that you want to do, that's anxiety, and that's where we need to kind of draw the line and seek support.
Yeah. So how does a solution-focused hypnotherapist support someone with anxiety?
Well, it's very much kind of what we say. It's what we do with all our clients. Is we empty that good old stress bucket. Yeah. We make sure that that stress bucket is as empty as possible, so that they've got capacity to deal with whatever it is that comes up in life. And we do that obviously through the sessions. The sessions that we have, they calm the central nervous system anyway. But we also encourage those 3 Ps that we will be talking about all the time: taking positive action, positive interaction, and positive thought, because they obviously boost those lovely neurotransmitters in our brain that make us feel happy and motivated. And we work on taking small steps to make ourselves feel that little bit more confident, that little bit happier, so that actually we can start to do those things that we might feel just our anxiety won't allow us to do. Would you
Small
agree?
joyous steps, I would
More,
say.
oh, I love that. Joyous
Yeah,
steps. Yeah,
just
absolutely.
gonna
And I
throw
say they
that in
don't have
there.
to be, they don't have to be huge steps. If somebody comes to you with, really crippling social anxiety, we're not going to suddenly suggest, they book themselves concert tickets and go and stand in an arena full of 80,000 people. But it might be, actually, go to a coffee shop that gets a little bit busy and, meet a friend for a coffee and, just taking those little baby steps, just pushing themselves a little bit out their comfort zone, but letting them decide what it is that they want to do. Because as we know, if the client decides this is a step they want to take, then it's going to be so much easier rather than us telling them, right, this is what we think you need to do, because nobody likes to be told what to do they? So actually,
Certainly
if they
not.
think, okay, this is a small step I could take in order to get me to that concert, then it's going to be much more likely for them to actually take it.
So it's worth noting that when we see clients in the initial consultation, we help explain what's happening in the brain and the terminology we use in a lot more detail. And then we revisit that in our sessions, don't we? So
absolutely.
If someone is anxious and they come to their next session and they share what's happening, we try not to collude with a problem. So we don't want to focus on the negatives, because one of the learnings of solution-focused hypnotherapy is your brain can't tell the difference between reality and imagination. So if you're thinking negatively, your brain is going to respond chemically with the hormones that as if it's actually happening right there, even though it's not, which can flood your whole system with cortisol.
Oh God, absolutely.
And that can stay with you for days.
I mean, let's be honest, people, I think, often who feel anxious, they feel like they're really weak. But I actually think people with anxiety are some of the most courageous people out there, because they are still doing things.
Yeah.
But with that kind of weight of anxiety, that constant fear that that polar bear is going to come out at you, or to do anything with that weight of that anxiety, I think it's really, really courageous, because it is absolutely exhausting. Because like you say, you feel drained afterwards, don't you? If you've done something with that level of anxiety.
Yeah.
And it can last with you for days.
Yeah. It's exhausting, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, by focusing on it, it's keeping that stress bucket full, which is keeping the primitive part of the mind in control. So they're stuck in that fight, flight, freeze, survival mode.
Absolutely.
And in order to break that cycle, the power of positivity is our friend. So, whenever you do something that brings you joy, having a lovely interaction, reframing your thoughts into a positive mindset or gratitude, some people appreciate doing. Whenever you're doing any of those, you're regaining some of that intellectual control. So you're bringing the control back into your prefrontal cortex, which is the rational, sensible part of the brain, not that primitive survival mode. So there's a big difference, isn't there? So if you're constantly in survival mode, you're flooding your system with negative stress hormones, which great if you've got some kind of Olympic triathlon coming up where you want that motivation and focus to run. Great if there's a real danger, so if there's a predator about and you need to get away before it eats you, great, but not great for day-to-day life. So all those negative thoughts can just be building up in the background.
Absolutely. And let's be honest as well, our brains can get quite creative when we're anxious, and we're thinking about all those possible things that we think could go wrong. And actually, when that logical brain is in control, we know that the chances of them happening, I know you can never say never, but they're so few and far between. It's that's kind of like having that intellectual control. I had a client this week, and I actually saw her kind of like reframe in real time, because she said, oh, actually, I was worried about this. And she said, but actually, that's not going to happen. And it's brilliant. It was just trying to see it actually happen right in front of me, because it's really difficult when a thought kind of starts niggling at us, especially if it's a negative thought. And again, our brain is just trying to keep us safe, and so it feels like it needs to focus on the negatives. So we have that little negative thought. It's so easy for an anxious, stressed out brain to really focus in on that and just think about, oh, you know, but what if this and what if that, and really build it up into something that it just absolutely isn't. So yeah, so absolutely, it's so important, like you said, regaining that intellectual control to go, no, actually, the chances of that happening, it's not worth my time worrying about it.
Before I was ever a hypnotherapist, right, this is interesting, and I think maybe a sign that I'm well suited to this role. I worked for a corporate organisation, and I found out I was going to be made redundant.
It's hard.
But no, Sarah. No, oh God. I was like, okay, I'm going to roll with this, because I'm going to leave with a pot of money. And actually, I'd really like to do something that I feel is more soul enriching. Yeah. So I love my role, and I love the company, and I love the people I work for.
Yeah.
But I felt like it wasn't feeding my soul.
I love that.
It wasn't my soul's purpose. So this was before hypnotherapy, but I spent every day, I spent some time just listening to guided meditations.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Let me tell you, going through that redundancy process was probably the calmest I've ever been in my life, and most rational.
I do think that's you, because I think for a lot of people, and I've been through redundancy myself as well, it's terrifying. So actually, I think it was.
It is, but that's what they say, isn't it?
But and I can say, and that's exactly it, isn't it? You know, we say that it's not what's going on in your life that makes you feel anxious, but it's the way in which you think about those things. And you are an absolute case study in point.
Yeah, I was like, this is going to be a good thing. I even got them to pay for my retraining as a hypnotherapist. Yeah, I was very blessed. Awesome. Yeah.
That's clearly what you were meant to do.
What am I going to do with my life now?
But that's amazing, because then you saw it as an opportunity rather than a dead end, which a lot of people would do.
So bearing in mind, I was a qualified counsellor beforehand, but I wasn't doing that full time. I was doing that part time on top of my day job. But because my husband was retiring from the fire service literally within days of my redundancy, and we'd been thinking, what's he going to do when he retires? Yeah. And he was going to have like a coffee van or open a coffee shop. And I was like, hang on, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon and make it a well-being coffee shop. And then I thought, I thought I want to have my private practice, but I don't feel like if I'm going to be working in a coffee shop that the boundaries are safe enough. Like if a client came in, like, and they've been discussing trauma, or, you know, they could feel potentially quite vulnerable seeing me. Yeah. So I was looking at what else can I do that would feel right for me whilst being safe for people to bump into me in a coffee shop. And I came across solution-focused hypnotherapy. So the great thing is we don't focus on trauma, do we? We don't focus on the past.
We don't need to.
We're looking at where you want to be and how you're going to get there. Yeah. And then we're going to use trance to really get your brain working at its optimum. Absolutely. Getting your conscious and subconscious together, working together, finding the answers. Yeah. Yeah.
So what would you suggest to somebody who might be listening to this and going like, actually, you know, anxiety is holding me back. I think it's about time I kind of seek some support. What advice would you give them?
First of all, I think celebrate yourself for realising that. That's awesome. Like I think it can be difficult, particularly like in today's busy lifestyles. You know, people often don't have time to think, and
Well,
certainly not
especially
about
when
themselves.
busy is celebrated,
Yeah,
isn't it? You're not really, quite often, and certainly in a lot of careers,
yeah.
you're not considered successful unless you're busy.
So, yeah, having that realization is a great thing. Um, what would I say to someone with anxiety?
Yeah, well, is that something that's like listening to some kind of like recognizing themselves in the fact that they are kind of constantly worrying about things and their fear is stopping them from doing something. What would your advice be to them?
So, if their fear is stopping them from doing something, uh, maybe it's a phobia. So there's different types of phobias. There's a simple phobia where it might be something that's like flying, so it just
Mm,
impacts whether they go on holiday, or it might be more complex where it impacts their day-to-day life, causes issues not just
mm,
with flying but many other things. Um, so obviously, seeing a solution-focused hypnotherapist would be beneficial.
yeah.
Uh, and in the initial consultation, we'd share about the science behind what's happening in the brain and
Mm.
kind of just share that knowledge because that's what we're about, isn't it? We
Well, it is,
want
and it's
to
powerful,
empower
isn't it?
people.
Knowing
Yeah,
it's really powerful knowing exactly why your brain is reacting in that way, because it can
yeah,
you can often feel like your brain's broken because it's not acting the way you want it to. But
yeah.
actually, like I say, we're able to explain that that's just not the case.
So, yeah, understand what's happening in the brain and how that impacts your feelings and behaviors. But ultimately, we want to reduce what's going in the stress bucket and start
Hmm.
focusing on the positive things in
Yes,
life and
absolutely.
listening to the audio that we share with people. And that alone, so often, you see a client on the initial consultation, you share that knowledge, which is so empowering in itself.
Mm,
They go away. Then the first week they come back, they've just spent a week focusing on like their 3Ps, so their positive actions, interactions, and thoughts, and listening to the audio. And already they're potentially seeing amazing benefits. So
yeah.
what is happening is by reducing what's going in the stress bucket,
Hmm.
their brain is processing during their REM cycle of their sleep what is in that bucket,
Hmm.
and it's creating more capacity. Now, if they wake up with capacity in their stress bucket, it means they're not waking up with their primitive brain in
Yeah,
control to start off with. Their primitive brain, so if someone wakes up with an overflowing stress bucket, their primitive brain is in control from the moment they wake up. They're then
absolutely.
encouraged to be negative because the primitive brain is looking at survival. So it
Yeah,
needs to look at the
100%.
worst case scenario.
Yeah.
How am I going to escape this situation? So, negative thoughts, that
Mm,
spiraling, filling the bucket, which then encourages the unhelpful coping mechanisms because
yeah,
the primitive part of the brain can't learn new things. It's not going
absolutely.
to do what you know is good for you, it's going to do
Mm,
what is an established behavior
yeah,
that even rationally you know it's not helpful, like I need a glass of red wine to cope with this,
yeah.
or I deserve it after my hard day.
Mm,
That's a primitive belief template that's been stored that once upon a time your brain has um, decided something was a risk. You've
yeah,
had a glass of red wine
and it's helped.
and you're still alive. So it's
Yeah,
worked, right?
exactly. So
So
that was a
repeat.
complete. Yeah,
And the more you
completely.
do it, the more it
Yeah,
reinforces that template. So,
absolutely. And I think particularly with anxiety, we so often avoid those things that make us feel anxious. And just like, reaching for a glass of wine when we've had a bad day, avoiding those places that we think either we've been before and we felt anxious, then we don't want to go again, or even just places where we think, oh, actually, yeah, we could get anxious there, so we're not going to go there. Again, it's just reinforcing in that part of the brain, yes,
Right.
we stayed away, we cancelled our plans, we survived. So next time something comes up, no, we just cancel our plans again. We just avoid, and that's the hardest thing, because avoidance just reinforces that fear. And so I'm not saying you should suddenly just chuck yourself in the deep end, but actually just trying to move yourself gently out of your comfort zone just helps to retrain that brain to realize that you are safe and that you can do these things.
Teeny tiny steps, building the foundations. Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's what we aim for, isn't it?
100%.
Small steps that all build on top of each other.
Yeah, completely. And I think when you make those checks, when you make those steps achievable, then actually it just makes you feel really good anyway, because actually you can feel yourself actually making progress, and that feels good anyway. And so you're going to be motivated to take the next step and the next step. And so I think that's what all about solution focused hypnotherapy is, isn't it? It's kind of like really building on that confidence and just really showing actually that you can have control over that part of your brain, and it doesn't have to rule.
So for anyone feeling like they need help with anxiety, if they don't want to come and see us, top tips are: start focusing on the positives in your life.
Get yourself a little notebook. I think as a stationary addict myself, I love an excuse to get a new little notebook anyway. Get yourself a little notebook, keep it by the bed, and just jot down 2 or 3 things that have made you smile in the day, things that you've achieved, whatever it is that just
or as many as you can.
Well, exactly. We're not limiting you to 2 or 3. If you can fill that page, you fill it.
Because when you reflect on the goods of the day, you get a beautiful positive neurotransmitter release, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Which will motivate you to do it more.
But
that repetition of that practice is really important, because we're building new neural pathways.
And also I think it's really important as well, on the days where you really struggle to find something good, they're actually the most important days where you really do need to find something. So even if it is really, really small, like the sun just came out, it felt nice, or it rained and it smelled like, literally like the small, because even on your worst day there will be something that will have been good. In my
conservatory, there was a little crack between the doors and the tiled floor, and a little weed was growing. And I thought, wow, beauty can grow
anywhere.
In the strangest places, can't it?
Oh, that's deep, Rachel.
I didn't want to pull it out, to be honest. Because I was like, this is profound. Out, did you? Eventually. But it stayed there for a while. You might even have got a flower. But I was like, that is incredible how the weeds are finding the sunlight somehow from under a concrete tiled floor.
Oh, Rachel, that is profound.
Profound, darling, profound.
I love that. But it's true though, isn't it? In kind of dark days, you can still see the light. That little weed, you can still see a little bit of light somewhere.
And you could focus on a weed being inside, and that's not where it should be, and oh my gosh, let's catastrophize that. Or you could choose to be profound and not put it in your stress bucket and appreciate whatever message you can find in there.
Absolutely. And I think as well, jotting down the good things as well, that leads you on to concentrating on those 3 Ps, positive action, positive interaction. Because if you are really struggling to find anything to jot down, then it's making sure, okay, tomorrow, what could I do? What positive action could I take? Who could I speak to that's going to make me feel good? How can I kind of think more positively when I wake up? And just kind of, really taking that chance to go, okay, because we know that when we focus on those, we do have that lovely flow of neurotransmitters, don't we?
And if you've been writing them down for a while and you can't think of any, you could look at previous pages.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
then you've got the memory coming back.
Absolutely. And actually, it's interesting because when I work with kids, I don't want the writing down of good things to be something that goes in their bucket. I don't want them to think, oh, 'cause
Yeah.
it's homework, I've got to do homework for Sarah.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all. And so actually I've got some kids that draw little pictures
I
of their
love
things.
that.
And so as long as it works for them and they can look
Yeah.
back and they can draw like some penguins that they saw at the zoo or something like that, as long as it means something to them, then I think it's, it's great. And it gives also, and not just kids, but sometimes adults like to draw as well, but just little doodles, just anything that takes you back to that moment of feeling really good.
Yeah. So focusing on the positives to reduce the stress going in our buckets, that'll help us sort of get back in control and regain some intellectual control, which means that we're going to spend more time in the intellectual part of the brain that's rational, sensible, behaving like how you want to, but that part of the brain also has sort of access to the main cortex of the brain, where everything we know and believe to be us, everything we've learned, is all available there. So we're making better decisions that we're feeling more comfortable with.
Definitely.
And we'll also listen to audio. Maybe
I was gonna say sleep. Sleep is it's so important. But just for mental health anyway, but particularly I think, if you do have a tendency to feel anxious, I know myself actually, if I've not slept well for a few days, I can feel that anxiety creeping in because you haven't got that intellectual control. And so, as we are busy people, we don't necessarily prioritize sleep. And so, like I say, listening to the audio can be really, really helpful just to get you that good quality REM sleep.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
Anything else I want to add? No, just that, again, repeating what I said, but if you are living life with anxiety, I think you're doing absolutely awesome because it's bloody hard. And I don't think people are given enough credit when they do things, even though they're feeling anxious. So yeah, don't see it as a weakness, see it as a bit of a strength that you can do stuff still while feeling anxious. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Awesome.
So, good to chat to you, Sarah Marks, Hypnotherapy.
Very good to chat to you, Rachel, of Prosper Therapy.
Thanks very much. And
we got to get better at these bits.
I don't know why you say that. I think it's brilliant.
Well, do you know what? I like podcasts that have a few bloopers in it. So I think, absolutely. We don't want to be too polished.
Which is who we are.
Yeah, exactly.
If we were
are
to
literally
be polished,
2 hypnotherapists that have fallen into a podcast.
Yeah.
Does what it says on the tin.
Yeah. Boom.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that, and we'll hopefully have another one soon.
Yeah. See you soon.
All right. Take care, my lovely. Bye.